I'm a tiny taggart in a brave new world, gonna free this town. If you didn't know about me already, well, you know it now.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of
Objectivist Girl News.
So the U.S. Supreme Court hasn't heard a single Second Amendment case since it's issuing its landmark gun rights ruling in District of Columbia versus Heller and McDonald versus Chicago. Unfortunately for gun rights advocates, that silence went unbroken recently in a major announcement. The Supreme Court refused to hear Drake versus Jurgen, a case challenging the constitutionality of New Jersey's arbitrary rules governing the right to carry handguns in public for purposes of self-defense. Now guys, I don't think I really need to tell you why this case is so pivotal, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you anyway. So it's very important for people to be able to not only have their Second Amendment rights because of the fact that it was guaranteed in the Constitution, but also because it's intrinsically correct. So people have a right to defend their own life. Because you own your own life and you are the sole person in charge of it, you have a right to defend your life. And so a gun is the best way to be able to do this. This also protects us from issues with the government. If the government were to get too powerful, like Great Britain, and we would need to override them and start a revolution, without guns, that would be literally impossible. It's pretty difficult now, but we accomplished it in the American Revolution, so it would be possible if we decided to have a revolution. However, you should refer to my article on violent revolution versus peaceful revolution. The cost-benefit analysis is not on the side of a violent revolution, so I would not suggest this. However, it needs to be an option for the American people, just in case. It holds our legislators accountable, because when someone owns a monopoly on force, you need to be able to have force to back you up on your own. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the video that's just come out of Pennsylvania, opposing beer and wine sales in private liquor stores.
You'll never walk me down the aisle on my wedding day, or send me off to college. And you'll never even see me graduate high school. A drunk driver took your life, and changed mine, forever.
Thanks to current laws and the effectiveness of the wine and spirits store's employees, Pennsylvania has the lowest death rate associated with alcohol consumption in the nation. Tell your state senator to say no to liquor privatization. We don't want other children to lose their parents.
As you can see from the video, they are equating having private liquor stores sell beer and wine as sentencing many parents to death. They state that Pennsylvania has the lowest death rate from car accidents and from alcohol. However, this is what we call a red herring. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to appeal to you emotionally to come to a logical conclusion. However, this conclusion is not logical due to the data. So it has nothing to do with the private sales of liquor. It simply is because it's a coincidence. So they're saying that private liquor stores selling to people is going to prevent deaths. This is why logically it's not possible. Number one, citizens that are buying from public liquor stores can buy from private liquor stores the exact same way. They could come there drunk, they could leave there drunk, they could drink while they're driving, or they could come buy more liquor and then drive back to a party and then drive home drunk. So selling at a public liquor store just makes absolutely no difference. They're going to state that the reason that it prevents this is because of the fact that they're able to supervise people's purchases more in a public store. But that's actually not true. The incentive is actually in private stores to do this versus public stores. So in public stores, it's paid by the government, and the government's going to pay its workers no matter what, even if they get into car accidents, because they're the government and they're not subject to their own laws. They are absolved from their own laws. In a private liquor store, if there are sales of underage or drunk people, then their store is going to be under scrutiny and possibly shut down. So actually it would be more beneficial to have private liquor stores carry these products. So again, this is a red herring and a logical fallacy. They're just trying to use emotion to manipulate you into agreeing with them. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is Chicago. Chicago has had a lot of problems. I know that you probably read some stuff about Chicago going through a huge economic decline. Chicago, the city that adopts none of the sound pension management practices that the rest of the civilized world embraces, while inventing many unsound ones of its own. The city that in good years, instead of putting away money for the bad ones, it hands out an extra month's holiday bonus check to retirees. As if that's not crazy enough, it's also consented to union demands to create additional 401k style retirement savings plans for workers. But unlike normal 401k plans, these investments did not go up and down with the stock market. Rather, the city guaranteed a 7.9% annual return even when the stock market collapsed. The issue with this is that if you make something too big to fail, and it does actually fail, then the American public actually suffers. So we're going to end up paying for these stocks. The entire US is going to end up paying for these stocks out of our taxes, because Chicago is guaranteed this and they don't actually have the money to pay its citizens, so it's going to go to the rest of the states. And that's going to be our responsibility to pay for it. And I personally don't want to take care of Chicago. And I think that what they've done is short-sighted behavior. I don't want to reward short-sighted or negative behavior. I think it's really important that we try and model our states after good states that spend their money wisely. New Hampshire is one of these, and there are many others out there. So that Orr was demanding that the city's general retirees accept a 26% cut and police and firefighters a 4% cut in their pension benefits. Now it's 4.5. How will a broke city pay for even these restructured retiree obligations? To get retirees on board, he's proposed to divert $350 million of tobacco settlement money over 20 years to them via the Detroit Institute of Arts. It has a complete disregard for what the money was originally meant for. So originally this was meant to deal with tobacco settlements, which I have an issue with as well, but it's really not the point. The point is that this money was collected in taxes to deal with this issue, and now it's being relocated to somewhere else. This is not acceptable or a good way to run government. Not to mention the $100 million that Obama wants to send to them that was supposed to go to homeowners hurt during the housing meltdown. So during the housing meltdown, Obama promised that he would help people with $100 million and would help those people get out of that situation, which I don't exactly agree with. I think a private company would better do this because you lose a lot of money when you filter through two different organizations. So say you go through a manufacturer and a producer, it would actually be cheaper to go through the manufacturer. So what they're doing is they're funneling money from private citizens and bringing it to the government, and then the government is using that and funneling it through either private systems or sending it directly to the taxpayer, versus private citizens sending it to a private organization which is qualified to do these sort of things and is able to do it better, and more money is able to get to the people that need it. And it won't be reallocated to Chicago instead of the homeowners that many taxpayers were looking forward to helping. So you'll notice last month that I did an Obama versus Yellen. So I decided that that's not really fair. I decided to make it a Republican versus Democrat battle of wits instead, because I felt it really just wasn't fair. Just because the Democrats are in power doesn't mean that the Republicans aren't doing stupid things in their free time. And they are just as good as the Democrats at being dumb-de-dum-dum-dum. If you don't get this, this is actually a reference to the Mormon episode of South Park, and it's really funny. You should check it out. Obama said at his correspondence dinner, "One issue we haven't been able to agree on is unemployment insurance. Republicans continue to refuse to extend it. You know what? I'm beginning to think that they've got a point. If you want to get paid for not working, you should have to run for Congress like everyone else." I don't know why he he would go ahead and say this. It's admitting to the American public that Congress does absolutely nothing, just as the rest of government does nothing. But then again, I'm pretty sure most of us knew that, at least the people watching this video. The government is completely inadequate, inefficient, and should be abolished. It's time to end the state. Even Obama thinks so. The Republican side of this came from Representative Will Infantine in Manchester, and I'm very appalled that this is actually coming from New Hampshire. So his statement made national headlines from the state floor in his comments opposing pay equality legislation. Men, by and large, make more because of some of the things that they do, he said. Their jobs are, by and large, riskier. They don't mind working nights and weekends. They don't mind working overtime or outdoors in the elements. Men are more motivated by money than women are, Infantine claims. As a woman, I'm appalled. I'm not for pay equality at all. I think that a private employer should decide who gets paid what, because that's the only fair way to do it. Because otherwise, you're segregating by gender. And it would be horrible if he had said this based on race. If he had said that black men shouldn't be paid as much as white men because their jobs are riskier or they're more motivated by money, then he would be chastised by our public. But it's okay to say this about women. It's okay to insult women because we're childbearing. Now, if they really want to solve this issue, what women should be doing is moving for a contract that they can sign between them and their employer that states that they won't get pregnant for a certain number of years while starting out with the company. This will allow them to grow within the company, and the company will trust them because of the fact that they've signed this document. And there will be consequences for having a child before that time. Now, there should be different rules as to how to get out of this contract and so on and so forth, but what we need to do is we need to be dealing with the problem, not actually segregating people and insulting them based on their gender. As a woman, I just want to go on record stating that I have no interest in having children. I enjoy my work. I work 24/7 between this channel, working for nonprofit organizations, and doing True Objective and other such things. I have no time for family. And I find joy in working. I think that my job is extremely motivating. I love money. I'm an objectivist because I love money. To say that all women aren't motivated by money is to ignore at least me. Because I am. I love to work. I think State House Rep Will Infantine owes me and every single other woman an apology. Otherwise, he's just being a part of the problem and not the solution. So thank you guys for joining me again today. I hope you enjoyed my video. Below you can see links to my Facebook, Twitter, and blog so you can hear even more from me. And you can also click the link to listen to the rest of my song Shrug, which you heard at the beginning of this video. So thank you guys, and remember, knowledge is not for all men, but for those who seek it. So keep seeking.